It's a gorgeous day here in West Sussex, and I've got a new face to introduce to you. She might not be new to all of you, but she's new to a lot of my viewers. Before Sewing Quarter went down, I was going to get her to come in to be one of our experts, and then, of course, it all went wrong. But I'd like to introduce to you Hannah Bradley-Cohen. Yes. She's married to a friend of mine, sadly, but we'll talk about that later. Now, thank you for inviting me into your house, first of all.
That's a pleasure.
Just tell me, first of all, who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Hannah, and I am the bespoke quilter, and I specialise in memory pieces and long arm work.
So it's quilting is your, and it really is your love, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your Instagram page? Is it called The Bespoke Quilter?
Yes, it is.
Because if every day you go on there, there seems to be another quilt, another quilting, another piecing and things like that. So do you just make them for the love of it, or are you commissioned to do them?
Yeah, I've made them for the love of it to start with. About 3 years ago I did my first one, and then
Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll come, because you're like a seasoned professional. I didn't think it was only 3 years ago, but carry on. So you did your first one.
Yeah, and then I've made them for friends, babies, wedding presents, and then I've got some commissions.
Okay, so let's go back. So what were you doing before? So you didn't do quilting before 3 years ago.
No.
So what were you doing?
So originally I was in the spa and beauty industry.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to manage and direct spas.
Okay, it's funny how the people in the quilting world now, where they've all, because Mandy Shaw was a nurse, and everyone has done different things, haven't they? So you were doing that, and then what made you? And so you didn't do any quilting or anything like that beforehand?
No, I did cross stitch. So I've done that since I was a little girl.
Okay, but that's a completely different art, isn't it? Yeah. So then what happened 3 years ago to make you suddenly think, oh, I'm going to get a sewing machine out and do quilting?
So I had some cross stitch pieces and I had a pattern, and it was to make it into a quilt. So my grandmother actually given me the pattern.
Right.
And my mother helped me sew the cross stitch. Now this was about 20 years ago.
Okay. So hang on, we'll be able to show a picture of that because it's hanging on the wall upstairs, isn't it? So in a minute you'll see that one. So you made that 20 years ago with your mum using your nan's pattern.
Yeah, and I finally sewed it together 3 years ago.
Oh, okay then. So it's a quilt made of patches of cross stitch and patches of fabric or quilting. Okay, fine.
Yes.
But you didn't. So when 20 years ago you did the cross stitch, and then left it in a box somewhere.
Yeah, and it's moved from house to house with me. Came to Ireland with me when I was living there, and it's certainly been.
Okay, so then 3 years ago, it was in a box.
Decided, just start it, and I just started it, and then.
So no training.
No.
So
I'm completely self-taught.
So hang on. So had you got a sewing machine at that point?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But you just did basic.
A basic, £100 sewing machine, and I just did it. No quarter inch foot, no idea.
Before I went to sewing quarter, I'd never heard of a quarter inch foot or a walking foot, so don't worry about that.
It told me to fold the pieces over at the back, so I just did that. I mean, the magazine's like 20 years old, so and a half-inch seam, so I just didn't know what I was doing, so I just put it together.
Okay, so how do we go from 3 years ago you sewing some squares, 20-year-old squares together, to now commissioning huge, beautiful quilts?
I love it so much. I guess that's infectious, and I'm lucky. I've got a large network, and I created this pattern. I've actually got an AccuQuilt, so I can cut pieces out pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
So a bit of a cheat.
Yeah. No, it's not a cheat, because I think some people love the cutting out, and other people hate, because if you think about a big quilt with loads of half square triangles, we had guests on the show before that said, so you just cut 400 squares and 400 squares, cut them in half, and and you're like, I wouldn't want to do that. So I don't think it's cheating. I think it's, you obviously prefer the sewing to the cutting. Other people love the rotary cutting and doing all of that.
And I didn't have I had a rotary cutter and a ruler. I didn't have a mat when I made this first one. And
so did you wreck a dining table? How did you cut it out?
No, I wrecked the ruler. Yeah. Yeah, so I had absolutely no idea. But the last commission I've just completed, it was 860 pieces, and that would have taken hours and hours.
And
also,
hours. if you're making it, it's different if you're making it for the love to make in your bedroom, and you can spend those hours. But if you can't, because somebody would come to you and you'd say, well, there's 800 pieces cut out. That's 10 days work. So that's however much money before I even start on the quilt itself.
Yeah.
So it's going to put the quilt out of people's pay bracket, isn't it? So 3 years ago, you put this quilt together. Had you given up working in the spa world by then?
Yeah. Unfortunately, about 8 years ago, I got very poorly. I was diagnosed with a brain tumour. And I just had to give up work and concentrate on my health.
Of course you did. Of course you did. That's quite. I'm not going to pry into your life.
No,
that's quite
it's
serious,
fine.
isn't it?
Yeah, it was quite serious. It doesn't feel like it now because I'm fully recovered.
Yeah.
And I don't really relate to that person anymore because it was. So it feels like my husband and I, we've been on such a journey. And my brain is actually quite nice to me because I can't remember most of it.
Oh wow!
It's
but
just
I'm going to ask a question now. But it's blocked out the past. But has it given you? And this isn't a medical program. We're not going to go medical. But has it given you issues like forgetting things? I mean, I forget things all the time, and I've not been, touch wood, not been poorly. Do you know what I mean? But
my spelling is worse. And I can't add up on my head.
Okay, so we don't ask for a quilt with words on.
And no,
It is. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
Well, it's a miracle that I'm sitting here today. If you'd have known me before, you would notice that my speech is a bit slower.
Okay, but sometimes that's good. I rattle away far too.
Yeah. So, and I had radiotherapy. Luckily, didn't have any chemotherapy.
Okay.
And had an operation, 7.5 hour operation, and I was awake for some of it, which is.
Oh, okay. We'll stop there. So, has quilting been like a therapy then?
Yeah. Obviously, I went back to the cross stitch first because that's
what you knew.
And then I've just love it since then. So.
But isn't it incredible how something that you started 23 years ago with your nan and your mum and everything, it's now turned into your complete and utter, because you and I'm sure you do have other things in your life, but it seems to be like it's taken over your life, quilting, hasn't it?
Absolutely, taken over, yeah.
But also, you must have something in your, I'm going to say brain, but that's the wrong word I'm looking for, but you're so precise and everything but you do close-ups of your quilts, and I've seen a lot of quilts, and I think sometimes if you're making it for yourself, it's not the end of the world if a point doesn't match anything. But everything's on point on yours, isn't it? And
I mean,
but no training or anything, and you just. So if somebody comes to you and says, "I want this kind of quilt," how do you know what blocks to do?
I discuss it with them. So the latest one I've got, it's like a memory quilt, and each family is going to write a block, and I'm going to print it on printable fabric and then sew it all together. People see I've got quite, I always draw my designs out, so I've got a catalogue of, when I was making them just for home.
Yes.
I would have drawn out this one.
Gorgeous. So. I mean, I love this fabric, Cosmos fabric. But if somebody comes to you and says, because you won't know, I suppose you can do it with research, but if somebody says, I want a log cabin next to a thing, it's not going to be automatic, because you're going to have to go, well, let's look up what that is and see how to make that and everything, which means you're discovering new things all the time as well. Yeah. So I've just been in your bedroom. What's that one on the bed?
It's Cave Facet.
I can see that. Is it one of your designs?
No, it's one of his.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
It's one of his. Yeah, I did that. I've just quilted it.
Right.
So just got it done. But it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
So what? Oh, 2 years. That's 2 years ago. That one. I thought that was your new song.
It's quite simple.
So what do you offer if somebody wants something? You obviously will make to commission, but then do you quilt it for them as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And
so
bind
you get
it?
a complete, yes.
Because we had this conversation, I know, a while ago, because I know some people don't quilt. They love to do the finishing off sort of thing, but you'll actually do all that.
Yeah.
Oh, now then, I know we're going upstairs to look at the machine, which you'll see on a different film in a minute, but you do not just the piecing. If somebody's pieced something and don't want to quilt it, you've got to...
Or it's too big
to
quilt.
And you've got a lovely machine upstairs. So Bespoke Quilter doesn't just make them. If somebody's already made one and they want to have it quilted, they can come to you. So how do you go about that, deciding on what because there's geometric, there's swirly, there's all sorts.
I discuss it with the client, but if they don't know what they want, I don't know, I have just a head for just making their pieces stand out. Just making their piecing look the best.
Exactly, because Tula Pink will only use the same long arm quilter. She won't let anyone else near her quilts whatsoever, because she knows she's in tune with that person. Because there must be nothing worse if you spent months and months piecing something, send it off, and it comes back and you go, that's not what I had in mind.
No.
Right, okay, so just remind me, name of the company is?
The Bespoke Quilter.
Is there a website?
No, not.
Oh,
I know.
Get your husband onto that. Not that the men are better at it, but get your husband onto it.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And email. That's
perfect.
For me.
I'll see you again, no doubt, because we're going to go upstairs and look at the machine. But thank you for now, Hannah. That's been brilliant.